Botton Village, a Camphill community and charitable trust for adults with special needs. And Botton in 1967. I made a film at Botton 22 years ago, and several of the same people are still around.
If you've lived with handicapped people for such a long time, as many of us have, first in the schools and then here in Botton or in one of the other villages, it seems almost a natural way of life, because we don't separate them really in our minds from other people. And in a way, we also don't treat them any differently. They just have different characteristics. Well, I expect you would like Michael Hogg to do it, really. Yes.
Can you reach your age, Kate? I love Botton, and I'm never going to leave Botton if I can possibly help it. No, I won't leave Botton. Botton's my home. The whole of Botton's my home now. It's a very nice village, but it's a bit scattered. It's a bit scattered, awfully scattered. The scattered community.
Could you spread it out a bit thinner, Richard? Not so thick, all in one place. Scatter it a bit more.
We feel that they give us so much. They are the most tolerant and understanding of people. And, well, yes, it's wonderful to live with them. It isn't always easy, but I'm surprised, actually, that we have so many people here, so many handicapped people living together, and there is hardly ever any problem.
We do our deliveries on Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon.
And I weigh out currants and sultanas and nuts and raisins, whatever we have to sell. We weigh out in 500 grams.
And Tuesday we have the store run.
We
go off to Middlesbrough and get all the veg in.
And then we do the orders on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday mornings. They come in, they get the goods what they have off the shelves, and then they come and take it out and write it in the book, or we do it for them if they can't do it themselves.
Can you show me the book?
Yes.
I've been in the forestry 11 years, and when I first started the forestry, I'd worked with a man called John Taylor and then Simon Gilman, and now it's Nick Rayside. And with Nick Rayside, everything's got to be more or less particular. And we're not too particular, but he likes a good job done, and I chop the wood for the whole village. And I also help that chap over there, Ginger, with moving logs and stacking branches and that. And occasionally when the boss is not around, naturally I muck about and sit down for a smoke. I like coffee breaks.
While Steve has a coffee break, the boss chops down a few trees. The woodland is part of a 700-acre estate in the middle of the North Yorkshire moors, belonging to Botton Village, one of 24 such Camphill communities in Britain for adults who are mentally handicapped. Nick Rayside has been a co-worker at Botton for 3 years.
In Botton we have quite steep hillsides and quite difficult terrain, and we looked into the various ways we could bring out our timber from the forest, and the alternative to a horse was a very expensive type of winching system, and getting machines into the forest is a very destructive process. And we found that the horse was by far the cheapest and most efficient method. And what's more, our horse is in foal now, so we've got a renewable tractor, as it were. It's a very efficient and wonderful working animal. When I work with handicapped people and I get over my frustrations of having to work more slowly and my frustrations that a handicapped person can't do things as perfectly as I would like to see them done, I suddenly realize that I'm not working for this great technical perfection, but I'm working for people.
Those with handicaps at Botton, they're referred to as villagers, all have jobs either in the workshops, on the land, or with household duties. Neither the staff, who are called co-workers, nor the villagers receive a wage.
Glass workshop is every day, and I cut the bread for supper in our house, and I empty our compost buckets, and I help with the drying up every day.
There are over 300 people living at Botton, including the co-workers and their children. The village was founded in 1955, the first of 50 such Camphill communities worldwide. The impulse grew out of Camphill's work for mentally handicapped children, started in Scotland in 1940 by a group of refugees from Vienna. Several of the villagers at Botton were originally at one of the Camphill schools, and many, because of the protective environment in which they live, are able to take on a great deal of responsibility.
I'm looking after children. Tia is one. Tia. And Doris' children. And the other 3 children, they're not here for a moment. They're on holiday. And then, oh, watch out, the bus coming. She's upset because her mummy's left her this afternoon. How old are you, Tia, now? How old are you?
4.
4, she said. She's 4.5. Is right? When's your birthday, Tia? When? When is your birthday?
Don't know.
When?
Don't know.
The 4th of September. Tia.
You want to take her to her mum?
Yes, want to come there to Mum?
Bye-bye, Beryl. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Tia. Say bye-bye.
No actual wages at Botton, but there is pocket money for a smoke and another coffee break.
John?
One.
Have you got some more?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
What was it, David? And
I got
that's
10 and that one 5 and 10. 10, 5, 10.
You work in the store, don't you?
I do, yes, I do, yes.
I'm in the weavery and the bakery.
And I work in the press afternoons.
You like having 2 different jobs?
I love it indeed, thank you. I love it so much. I like it so much. Very happy. I like to help other people as well. I like helping other people as well.
You like it at Botton, do you?
I do. It's more what I call a bit more nature. More nature. Graham and I have the same
Yes, I do.
interest.
Interest, yes. I like classical music also. Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, Purcell and Haydn.
Yeah.
I love that type of music. I love music. I love enjoying it. I've got a CD, a music centre with CD player on it. I've got the Eine kleine Nachtmusik on CD, the Miniature Symphony on CD, and Rosa Cavalier by Richard Strauss on compact disc.
Can you play an instrument?
No, I can't. I love music. I can't play it very well. I love music. I love classical music. I love music. I love it. Enjoyable.
Can I have some cheese and onion crisps, please?
William Graham has been at Botton for 27 years and lives at Rock House, a family household with 5 handicapped villagers, and one of 28 such houses in the village. His house mother, Almut, is an artist and together with her husband is in charge of the household. Their 7 children live there too.
Why I came to Camphill was basically because I couldn't imagine living in isolation with my work, and now, for that matter, also with my family. And really it is in the sharing where I find the fulfillment of living here. Where I would like more time maybe is for artwork, but that wouldn't be any different if I didn't live here. And in a way it puts more meaning into my housework, having to do it for so many. And as everybody helps, including the children, it is a very harmonious entity. I don't think it is possible to have a community of people without the handicapped people. Or I think we would have to be very great human beings. But they create this element of warmth, where each one of the so-called co-workers might be very... there's a certain pride in each one of us, which is broken down by the directness, the warmth, the uncomplicatedness of a handicapped person.
Behind Camphill lies a strong Christian ethic and a deep commitment to renewal in all spheres of life, inspired by the educationalist and philosopher Rudolf Steiner.
May the meal be blessed.
Yes, please.
Oh.
Did you cook the lunch, Pat?
Yes.
Did you?
Most co-workers throughout the Camphill movement find that their children benefit from contact with people who are handicapped, as well as from community life.
Which part did you cook, Pat?
I think it's very good for the children, because I imagine that they have a greater social awareness through having lived with so many different people.
Okay.
They are very sensitive to what a William is able to do, and a Sharon and a Julian, which is rather lovely to see. And that they appreciate that a handicapped person is a human being and has his strengths and shortcomings like everybody else.
And then, of course, the cow somehow...
The house mother in Camphill communities, along with her other duties, is responsible for the household budget, and that includes pocket money and people's personal needs.
It is something that one finds out over the years where people's different needs are. And we have people who need very little. It might be just £1 on Saturday. And some others might like to buy new shoes, and when they might not even need new shoes so desperately, but it is then very much up to the house mother to know whether the need is shoes or whether it is a bit more attention.
There's no formal hierarchy in a Camphill community. At the weekly neighbourhood meetings in Botton, anything can be discussed by co-workers and villagers together. Detailed decisions are mostly then made by small groups of co-workers delegated to oversee areas like the workshops, admissions, the land and finance.
I do feel it is important that everyone is aware, as if it was his own money, the whole village money, and not just that's what one owes me or this is my right. Because this is where we create the situation of me, I want this, rather than us and we need that.
Mike Fuller, like a number of young co-workers in the Camphill movement, was first attracted to the community just because he wouldn't be paid.
If you push it down, yeah? I've been here about 2.5 years now, and before I was here I was living in London. I was a landscape gardener, self-employed, working for quite rich people in sort of West London, Richmond area. And we did that quite successfully for about two years. I mean, it was very good. It was good fun. I mean, it was nice work. But I slowly realised that the more I got involved in it, the less I got involved in the actual plants. I was more interested in the money. That I would go to somebody's garden and I would look at it and they would ask me to say what they think about it, and I would just sort of look at this board and think, well, that's £50, and look at that bit over there and say that's about £100, and I'd forget that there were sort of really nice roses in the garden. It was just sort of becoming more and more involved with money and less involved with the actual planting itself. And I had this feeling all the time that it wasn't quite right, but I couldn't sort of work it out. I couldn't work out what I had to do, because I thought perhaps if I expand or get bigger, then perhaps that's where I should go. And I think I sort of got to this point. I actually, sounds really strange, but I went to bed and I was sort of dreaming of pound notes and turf, sort of all rolled up together. It was just like this horrible sort of nightmare of money and plants and things. And so I just thought, well, this is enough now. I can't keep working for money. So I stopped, because I thought I want to do something that's real.
Cool, look at that for a cracker.
That's a big one.
Look at that for a cracker. Cool, you don't see that many this size. It's almost the size of a pumpkin.
Those who are mentally handicapped at Botton are supported through central government and local authority grants. The rest of the village income is made up from sales of produce and of goods made in the workshops. The shortfall, including building costs, is raised by donations. Botton Village and most of the subsequent Camphill village communities were created for adults who, although handicapped, are able to undertake regular work unsupervised, but who need a sheltered environment. Some, naturally, are more productive than others. John Fry spends his mornings helping with jobs in his household. In the afternoons, he folds paper in the printing press. 22 years ago, John was working in the glass workshop and featured in the film I made about Botton.
John, will you come? John has finished, Bruce has finished 3 glasses.
Yes.
Look here, those are the lines, John.
Yes.
Those you must wash now, because you must go away tomorrow.
Yes. To a visitor.
No, to Darlington.
To Darlington. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Am I having my photograph taken?
Yes, you have, but you must go on washing, John.
Yes.
John, lots of things have changed since we made that film, haven't they?
Yes, lots of things have changed.
What?
What? You're Maurice Cowley.
Yes, I do. Yes, that's right.
What's the colour of your Maurice Cowley?
Blue. It was blue.
What a light blue Maurice
Light
Cowley.
blue, that's right.
Oh,
Yes, you remember.
At the 1967 Advent sale and Open Day, John and his girlfriend Rosemary were torn between socialising and doing their Christmas shopping.
Well, I must go and do my shopping. I want to buy some candles. Eccles in Norfolk.
You shall buy what?
A doll for David MacDonald at Eccles in Norfolk.
You want to buy a doll?
Yes.
I remember you at the Advent sale. Do you remember that lovely Advent sale when we filmed?
Yes. Yes, for David MacDonald.
You were buying a present for somebody.
Yes. I don't know how old.
I can't remember who it was. You were looking for a present for a child.
Yes. He's a tiny boy. Yes.
Can you remember who it was?
I forget. No money. Yes. You better ask Martha in case I get in a muddle, Vicky.
You've got it exact, can't get in.
John, you give this to Angus.
Thank
5
you.
shillings for the doll.
I will get in.
Thank you.
David is back home.
Is he coming?
No, he's not coming.
Who's that chap?
This is my son,
What's your son's name?
Stephen.
How do you do, Stephen?
That's
Rosemary Simpson, Stephen.
No,
You
second.
don't know Rosemary Simpson.
No,
That's Rosemary Simpson.
I am not.
Now, what happened to Rosemary Simpson?
Rosemary Simpson left Botton.
Did she?
Yes. Rosemary Simpson moved to Newton D.
Anything else?
Did you ever hear from her?
No.
They don't feel nice.
Yes.
Would you like to buy one of those?
Yes.
Have you got the money?
Not many money.
No, it's all mine.
That's all it is.
Tea cushions. No.
Do we need one for the room, John?
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll buy one if you've got one with an Alsatian on it or a dog. Have you got one with a dog on it?
I haven't got any dogs. Look, I've nearly sold out, you see.
Also at that Advent sale was Christine, a young co-worker who first came to Botton on a work camp. She now has a family of her own and is a house mother at a Camphill village in southern Germany, where I met her again recently.
Make it a bowl.
Oh, it's a shilling.
Shilling, thank you.
Right.
We'll have that for the room, John.
Yes, bit gone.
Good girl.
I've been selling all these half price, you know. Ja, dann gehst du wieder nach Hause. Was? Zu deiner Mutters Geburtstag? Ja. Ja? Weißt du, was du dir schenken willst? The Germans have just an entirely different temperament to English people. Very hard-working and rather serious, and I found that difficult, but what did make it easy, of course, were the villagers, because, well, a Down syndrome in England or America or Germany or wherever is probably very much the same. So that rescued me a bit, because the villagers made me feel very much at home. Schmeckt's, Lutz? Ja. Das freut mich. Good.
Christine's husband, Henry, is a farmer and also from Britain. He and Christine are house parents to a group of 6 handicapped adults. Their village, the Leonhof, is one of 4 Camphill communities near the Lake of Constance in southern Germany. I wouldn't like to make Camphill sound like some sort of utopia where we're blissfully happy all the time. There are difficult times, also difficult times with the handicapped, and I find mostly that it comes at certain times of the year. November and February are always terrible times, and I don't know why it is. I can understand with February because it's sort of middle of winter and you're longing for the spring, where people just get on each other's nerves. And we just put it up with each other. Also having this extended family, I mean, most of the time I really enjoy it. But there are times when you think, let's just clear off, especially meal times.
Dolly, But I think our strength is that we tried to live just an ordinary family existence. And I think that's a good thing. That we just have this rather bigger family than most people have, and some of us are handicapped. They're lovely people. One takes their good points and their bad points and accepts that. And they accept us too.
No, there's another line, actually. What other line have you got?
Have you been in any of the plays?
Oh, yes, before Christmas.
What, are you a shepherd? I think probably on first meeting some handicapped people, one thinks, yeah, just why are they here? But when one knows them better, or their case histories, one can understand, yes, maybe some of them could manage outside, but under what sort of conditions would they be living? It's not easy if you're a bit different to live in a normal surroundings. And I think our villagers work so well here because they're not under any sort of pressure.
Back in Yorkshire, a German musical instrument, but a very English tune. Michael Hogg has been at Botton for over 30 years. As a child, he was at the Camphill school in Aberdeen. For many years, he worked in the doll shop. He now has a job in the weavery. His parents came to live at Botton when his father retired, and they became invaluable helpers in the village.
My mother died on the 20th of March, 86. My father died 87, shortly before Easter. But both shortly before Easter. That was funny, wasn't it? It was very sad. I was always ready to help anybody, if anybody was in distress with any wire set or tape recorder. He always did his best to put it right. My mother was the same. If ever there was any problem that anybody had, my mother always could put it right, if she could. It was very sad. Both occasions I'd been expecting. My mother was ill after Christmas, and I knew probably well she was on her way to die. I hoped she wouldn't, but I knew it, so I prepared myself. Then my father got ill next year, and so I prepared myself for that. So it wasn't a shock, but I was quite prepared that he would die any day, and of course they did. Kate's in charge of looking after my clothes and buying me new clothes and that. She's the one who does it now.
Kate Rote and her husband Peter are Michael's house parents and have known him since he came to Camphill in Scotland as a child. Like most of the villagers at Botton, Michael has always very much enjoyed both the routine and the richness of Camphill life.
I like music and I like all the evening activities. I find them very interesting, especially the lectures and talks. One evening that I like very much, and that's on Friday night, country dancing. I always am one. You see, I can't dance very well, so I've been given the job for playing the record, which I love. I stand up on that balcony, and the lady tells me when to start the record, when to take it off, and then I start it off.
Michael, you've been at Botton a long time, haven't you? What?
On this Wednesday, the 4th of October, then I will be here 32 years. I've been here 32 years, you know that. I never thought I'd be as long as I have.
You've got a very good memory, Michael.
Yeah. I can remember your first visit. I didn't know you then at all. Have I said something wrong?
Not at all.
It was wonderful, that was. Then afterwards, remember when you did tea? You remember that?
Yes.
That was great fun.
You were sitting next to your father, weren't you?
Yeah.
Next to John. John wants you to sit next.
Next to?
John.
Hey, I'm up Simon. How are you?
What records are you going to use?
What's your Bible?
On Friday, you know? You made up your mind?
Well, the one is a hokey-cokey.
You are full of a smell of manure slightly, not much, but a bit.
Does not? Who are you?
Does not?
No, it's Jonathan. It's not me.
Don't stop! I remember in my youth I went skiing in the Austrian Alps.
Peter Rote was one of that small group of refugees from Vienna who founded Camphill in Scotland in 1940. Alistair Macmillan was one of his first charges, and it was Alistair's family, the Macmillan publishers, who made Camphill House in Aberdeen and later the Botton Estate available to those early pioneers. Alistair has a particular affection for a long-time co-worker at Camphill, and although he's now over 70, he comes to her house once a week to do a little light cleaning.
Alistair,
Yes?
I hear that you have had a dream about me last night.
A dream about you?
Did you?
Yes, standing outside in a church in London, or All Saints in Ennismore Gardens, Southwest 7.
Where was that? I didn't understand quite.
Ennismore Gardens turns out at Kensington Road opposite Hyde Park.
Aha. Do you know that church? Have you been
Yes. My father and family and I used always to worship there at one time.
there? And can you remember whether your nanny went with you as well?
No, she didn't come as far as I can remember. I think she got me ready for church on Sundays first thing in the morning, and then I started off with my mother and father.
And you would come home,
About midday.
and then you had your lunch together.
Yes, that's right.
As a boy, between the wars, in the days of servants and oil lamps, Alistair spent summer holidays on the family estate at Botton Hall, long before it was given over to Camphill. Alistair's uncle, Harold Macmillan, visited Botton on several occasions, but in the days when it was still a family estate.
He talks freely about his family and the servants they had, but for him, all people are equal. He has not got this feeling that anything is not good enough for him. Not at all. He's a very humble human being, and I feel that he is very deeply connected with the stream of Camphill. Francis I wondered what living conditions he could offer to Leonardo, because he had known that Leonardo was not very well.
With no television sets at Botton and no pub either, Gerda Block's adult education classes, like all the social and cultural activities, are very popular with the villagers, particularly with the older ones.
Study groups is something that one usually does not have with mentally handicapped people. But I feel that it's a whole realm that needs to be discovered. And I think personally that we are very intellectual and we are used to talk in an intellectual way. Well, the handicapped people can't do that. They learn in a different way. They talk in a different way. And if we would actually learn or be together with them in such groups, there would be perhaps something coming about through this mix which would be beneficial to us intellectual people as well, where we would realize, well, what is it that attracts us so much to these people? And we would perhaps actually learn that we don't only take in with our intellect, but we also soak in and learn with a much greater part of us than just our head. So Leonardo actually did not suffer at all as he did before.
Gerda's daughter, Susanna, is a nurse at Botton, with particular responsibility for some of these older villages. 22 years ago, Susanna was herself looked after by one of the villagers, Shirley.
Susanna was small, and Shirley was always at home. She didn't like to go out. And so we began to ask her, would you like to keep house for us? And that led then to a wonderful attitude that she developed towards Susanna, a very protective attitude. And a completely unknown side of Shirley came out. When Susanna then began to crawl and to walk and to talk, it was Shirley who was always around her, because I was cooking and I was going also to the doll's workshop down in the hall at the time. And I could leave them together. She was safe, she was happy, she had human company. And for Shirley, it was a completely new life.
Sometimes I take her to other children. Like Botton Farm, she's got the twins she loves very much, because they're more or less the same age. A little older. She loves to go and see them. She goes to Botton Farm. She likes, she loves going to see the chickens and the cows. She loves animals.
Shirley left Botton in 1972, determined to live in the outside world. 2 years later she married, but the marriage didn't last. We went with Susanna to visit Shirley in Scarborough, where she now lives alone in a council flat. She has a home help and goes to a day centre for 2 mornings a week.
Did there was anybody else that you knew particularly well?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
I'm one that keeps a lot on her.
What about Mary Coombs?
I remember her. She's still there.
No.
She's gone.
She went a long time ago.
Oh.
But she wasn't especially friends with you.
Yes, she was. She wasn't well, though.
She wasn't very well, no.
No, she was very ill. She's a very unhappy person.
Mary?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, I think she was a bit. Shirley, do you cook much for yourself?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
Where do you eat?
I don't eat a lot.
You don't eat a lot?
I eat biscuits and things.
Do you get a meal at the centre?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Right. What are we going to have? Some milk? Shall I get some milk?
Yeah.
Right. Which one? This one?
That one.
All right.
Nearly finished it.
Right, we'll just finish that one off. Does your home help do all your shopping?
I go with her.
You go with her?
Yeah.
Shirley, do you miss the food at Botton at all?
Pardon?
Do you miss the food at Botton at all?
No, not really.
Not really?
Miss you, though.
Play music.
I can't play.
You can. You play. You can. You do best yourself. Dude. Dude. This is last. Fun dude. That's right. Play my eyes.
Yes, I had two of that. One from the bottom, one from the...
One of what, Shirley?
A brick through the window. One night, it was 10 o'clock, it was on a Thursday, I even remember the day. I had a smash right through the window. You get people like that.
And that's happened twice?
Yes, once downstairs and once... You get some cowards, they're always, well, they're not children, lads, you know, and they seem to pick on people who live on their own, most cowards.
Yes.
I don't even know them, so I don't do any harm to them.
Yes.
And they pick you out. And you live in fear all the time it's going to happen again. Well, they say it comes in freezer. So I wouldn't be surprised if I have it in a bedroom or somewhere else.
Do you miss Botton, Shirley?
Yes, yeah, I do and I don't, sort of thing. Wouldn't want to go there, back there.
Why not?
No TV and all that, yeah.
Do you remember looking after Susanna?
I do. I used to take you out to the shops and your friend.
Mm.
We used to, when it was summer, I used to put you out by the window, you know, when we were having our lunch,
Mm.
seeing if you were all right. And that night, your mother used to go for meetings, and her father, and I stayed up waiting for them sometimes on the stairs, you know, in my dressing gown.
Mhm.
You know, and if I thought there was something not right, I always used to ring.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feed you and change you, you know.
Was she a good little girl?
She was. She never hardly cried, you know.
She always keeps me in order. Hey? Tells me what to do. What I must do, what I mustn't do.
I remember that you had roses on your curtains, and I liked your room very much.
I remember that. You used to
I remember
come in
going
my
for
room.
walks with you. Mm.
And I used to read stories to you.
Yes. When did you leave? How old was I?
I think you were about 6, 7, old
Yes.
enough to... You were
That's
too
right.
old to put a nanny in that then, eh?
That's right.
No, 7 is too old, school age, eh? Well, you go to school at 5, don't you?
And Shirley, you left and got married.
And that was the biggest mistake I made, but still. I was 37 when I got married.
Shirley, where's Max now?
Eh?
Where is Max now?
He's in the Isle of Man.
Is he?
Was.
Mm-hmm.
We got married again.
Why was it a mistake, Shirley?
I don't know.
Wrong person.
Yes. Well, I felt he was more like my brother than the husband. I don't feel if I've been married, Jonathan. I don't. I feel very spinsterish. I probably look it too, do you? I think so. An old maid, yeah.
Do you have any problems sleeping?
I do.
What do you have to do about that?
I have to have tablets all the time, and then after a while I've run out. I'm worried because I've run out. I've only got one more left. And I have to wait for my home health to sort them. I have tablets for very bad depression. Nearly suicide. It wasn't hurt, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have them for mild epilepsy, pissing miles.
Yes.
Do you get lonely at all, Shirley?
No.
Mm.
No. Sometimes, not all. In a way, it's better for me having a very institutional life. I'm glad to live like a normal person, you know, because I had a very unfair childhood. They put me in a nut house, and my parents, and there's nothing wrong upstairs, as you can see. I've never been a violent person. I've never harmed anyone. And I've spent half my life in a loony bin, you know. It wasn't fair. Eh? In Jersey, that's why I hate Jersey, you know. It's got nothing but bad memories for me. I didn't even deserve that. I didn't do it to the other three, though. They said I wasn't normal compared to them, but I was. I am, not I? Do you think I'm funny?
Yeah. Is that why you don't want to be at Botton, then? Is that why?
That's the reason. I hope I'm not saying anything bad, you know.
That's all right.
'Cause it's,
You wanted to live in the world?
yes, to live in a normal life, because you only live once, and when you're under the ground, that's it. You don't come back again, do you? Unless you come back to haunt people, and I may do that.
Very big.
October 28th. 59, that's not very old.
Sorry?
59 age.
Not bad.
It's not very old for the grave, is it?
It's not that old.
Not 60 yet.
Shirley, all your family's still alive?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your sisters, do they sometimes write to you?
I don't keep in touch with them much. I've got 3 sisters. It's your fresh drink. You've got plenty of food. Plenty of food. Pretty boy. Pretty boy.
Susanna, what's your reaction seeing where Shirley lives and her life now? What do you feel about it?
It seems to me living in Botton quite an empty life, but Shirley seems very happy. She seems very happy to have her own front door, as she says. And that for her means more than to have a full life, in the sense that I would imagine it. I think that she's all right, really.
Jump on your swing.
you think she's putting a bit of a brave face on it, or do you think she genuinely is happy?
I think she's putting a brave face on it a lot of the time. But I think that what underlies it, that she wants to be independent, is something very important and something that you wouldn't get her out of here so quickly. Really.
Yeah. Quite a lot of people from Botton have this feeling, don't they, that they want to move out and live in the so-called normal world.
Yes, many do. And it's an art to find out the ones that really mean it and the ones that don't. Because many just grumble, and some actually do. One always finds out, because the ones that really do, they're very persistent. And then they eventually go and try living in a hostel, as Shirley did. And if they find that it's really not the thing for them, then they come back.
I've been here a long time, see, and I'd one day like a change, but for the time being I'm making the best of helping Nick in the forestry, and but I'm not good at holding a job in a way because I'm often late, and that's one thing what would have to change if I went outside. I realise that, but once I get working I'm a good worker, but it's just coming on time for work, and early mornings I find difficult. But there again, with me it works the other way round. If I go to bed too early.
The founder of Camphill, Dr. Koenig, had this image of Camphill as a candle on a hill. It symbolised the vulnerability, but also the presence of those who are handicapped, a presence that should, he felt, be visible and not hidden away. But Dr. Koenig, who died in 1966, also believed, or rather hoped, that if the world was one day a different place, a kinder place, then communities like Botton would no longer be needed.